It was a Tuesday morning when the call came in. Sheriff Tom Granger, a 30-year veteran of Jackson County Search and Rescue, answered it like any other. Coffee in one hand, notebook in the other. But he knew, even before the words were finished, that this wasn't going to be a routine case. 5 friends, all in their 20s, left for a 3-day winter hike into the Wapiti Range. They were due back Sunday evening. No messages, no sightings, no signs. It was now Tuesday, and the snow had started falling hard the night before. The Wapiti Range isn't Everest. It's not even the Rockies. But the locals know it hides things. Old mining tunnels, dense forest, wind-carved ridges, and in winter, total silence. Once the snow hits, even your own footsteps start to sound like someone else's. The group, 3 men, 2 women, had been hiking together since college. According to the report, they left from a trailhead near Twin Pines campground, planning to make a loop toward Coldwater Lake, spend 2 nights there, then hike back through Bear Run Pass. They signed the trail registry. Their names were clear. Eli Kavanagh, 27th. June Mulroney, 25th. Calvin Vance, 26th. Madeline Mads Hale, 24th. James Dwyer, 27th. There was no indication of trouble. They had the right gear: layers, food, tents and snowshoes. Eli was the experienced one. Former Army Reserve, had done hikes in Colorado. June was a medical student. Madeline was quiet, an artist. Calvin was loud and impulsive, but a good climber. James was the one who documented everything. He had his camera with him, always did. The footage we would later find on that camera would raise more questions than it answered. Day 1. The weather was mild when they set out. High clouds, but no storm in the forecast. They parked Eli's Subaru on the gravel shoulder just outside the gate and locked their phones in the glove box. James recorded the first few hours. He always did this. He was making some kind of video diary, Calvin joked. The footage showed them laughing, trudging through light snow, pointing out animal tracks. You could hear June say,
"If I disappear out here, blame Eli."
Eli smiled and replied,
"You'd haunt me."
The plan was to make camp near Pine Hollow by dusk. They'd brought snow stakes, insulated mats, the works. Eli's pack had a satellite beacon, but it wasn't activated. Standard protocol, he said, was to only use it for real emergencies. That night, temperatures dropped to 20 degrees, still manageable. The camera showed them sitting around a camp stove, cooking lentils, joking about ghost stories. Everything appeared normal. But sometime between that first night and the second morning, something shifted. The second morning, June's journal was later recovered in a dry bag found buried beneath snow, about 3 miles from their last known location. Her handwriting was tight, neat.
Woke up to tracks around the tent. Not animal, too large, bipedal. Eli said probably snowshoe imprints from another group, but they were too deep. James is unsettled. Around 3 a.m., Calvin said he heard something. Said it wasn't walking right.
There were no other hiking parties registered on the trail that weekend.
Eli dismissed it, tried to keep everyone calm. They packed up quickly and moved toward Coldwater Lake, but they were off schedule. Snowfall had started earlier than expected, and visibility was dropping fast. James recorded more footage, shorter clips now. One of them showed a dense line of trees in the fog, and what looked like movement, a flash of dark against the white. He doesn't speak in that clip, just breathes hard. The final camp, day 2 night. We believe they made camp again the second night, but only because of scattered debris found weeks later. Fragments of nylon tent, a crushed camp stove, a single boot belonging to Madeline. The camera stopped recording that afternoon. June's last journal entry.
The snow keeps covering our tracks. I think we're circling back. Eli says no. I trust him, but I don't know. Mads isn't talking much. I heard her crying last night. Something was out there. I keep hearing it. I know it sounds crazy.
The search. By Thursday, search and rescue teams had begun grid sweeps. Helicopters couldn't fly. Visibility was near zero. Ground teams found James's camera lodged in a tree well, undamaged but frozen solid. Then they found something stranger. Eli's pack. It was upright, placed neatly on a log. Nothing missing. Inside were sealed rations, water, and a flare gun. There were no tracks around it, no sign of struggle. Just that pack, dry as bone. It would take 3 more days before they found the first body. Discovery. The first body was found near the banks of a frozen creek, about 1.5 miles northeast of the trail marker they'd passed 2 days earlier. It was Madeline. She was lying face up in the snow, arms crossed over her chest. Her eyes were closed, peaceful almost. Her coat was zipped, gloves on, boots laced. She didn't freeze while crawling or running. She hadn't been attacked. There were no injuries, no broken bones, not even bruising. She just stopped. The coroner's report later confirmed hypothermia. But there was something odd. Her core temperature suggested she'd been exposed for no more than 4 hours. Yet the trail leading to her body had already vanished beneath 6 inches of fresh powder. She hadn't been there long, but she'd been missing for 5 days. How she got there, and from where, is still unknown. Not far from her body, they found a metal spoon stuck upright in the snow, as if someone had jabbed it into the ground. No explanation. It didn't match the cookware they carried. The second find. 2 days later, they found Calvin. His discovery made the news. He was perched on a rock outcropping above a steep gully, knees drawn to his chest. No coat, no gloves, no hat. The team said it looked like he'd undressed himself on purpose. Classic paradoxical undressing, a symptom of late-stage hypothermia. But again, no tracks, no dragging, no crawling, just him, sitting there, like he'd been placed. Next to him was James's scarf, half buried under wind-blown snow, but no sign of James. They radioed it in. The sheriff said the searchers refused to stay past sundown that night. Not from superstition, but fatigue, exposure, and something no one could name. Something in the air. They stopped speaking once the sun dipped behind the ridge. to check for hidden compartments. A rookie officer found the notebook, double-checking gear logs. Inside,
We're not going in circles, we're not lost. Past the same set of trees, the same bent trunk, 3 times. But when we mark them, the marks aren't there later, not erased, just gone. Eli swears he saw a light pass. He thinks it's a ranger station, but it moves, disappears behind the trees. Mad saw someone in the woods, says it was a man with no coat. She wouldn't stop shaking. I gave her my hat. James left this morning to climb the ridge and try the rain. It's been hours. The snow's coming like heavy.
We heard something last night. I think I dreamed it. Calvin heard it too. He wouldn't say what. He just kept saying, it doesn't echo.
James's body was never found. His camera was recovered. His scarf was found with Calvin. 2 of his notebooks were scattered near the mouth of Coldwater Lake. But his body, gone. Cadaver dogs caught scent once led a team toward a split in the trail where runoff had melted the snow down to ice. Then the trail vanished. There were no blood traces, no broken branches, no sign of animal activity. James had vanished. Even in the cold, something about it didn't feel like nature, didn't feel random. One of the rangers, off record, said this:
We've found people dead out there before. Avalanches, missteps, cold. But never like this. These kids were experienced. They didn't make rookie mistakes, and still it's like the mountains swallowed them up one by one.
10 days after the search began, a helicopter crew spotted movement near a dry patch of pine, about 11 miles southeast from the trailhead. A single figure stumbling through knee-deep snow, waving a piece of clothing. It was June. She was badly frostbitten, disoriented, and dehydrated. Her body temperature was dangerously low, but she was alive. When she was stable enough to speak, she said only this:
We split up after the second night. James never came back. Calvin said we were being watched. Mads wouldn't sleep. Eli walked with me. He stayed with me until the last night. Then, he told me to keep walking. He said he had to go back for something. He never came back.
Eli's body was found 3 weeks later. He was inside a hollow tree, knees drawn up, his parka folded neatly beside him. There was a single line carved into the bark beside his head.
Don't follow.
When June was released from the hospital, she went home to live with her older sister in Eugene. Reporters camped outside for days. Her name had been in every local paper, her face on every nightly news broadcast. Some outlets called her the girl who survived the mountain. Others questioned her story. She never spoke publicly. Not once. The search officially ended 47 days after she was found. 3 dead, 2 missing. Only 1 witness, and even she admitted in private that there were entire days she couldn't account for. The investigation. Law enforcement ruled out foul play. There was no evidence of a struggle, no external injuries, no signs of assault or violence. But the state search and rescue coordinator submitted a report quietly recommending that the area not be used again for winter hiking. No public explanation was given. One of the only solid pieces of evidence came from June's recovered notebook. It wasn't just what she wrote. It was what she drew. In the margins of 3 pages, June had sketched a crude, hand-drawn map. It featured bends in the trail, makeshift shelters, and large X marks. The last page had only 2 words.
The cabin.
No such structure was ever found. Theories. Over the years, a few consistent theories emerged. Some grounded, some less so. The most accepted explanation, officially, is disorientation due to cold-induced delirium. Hypothermia is insidious. It makes people hallucinate, behave irrationally, shed their clothing, wander. The group may have separated, then one by one succumbed. But that doesn't explain why no one ever found James, or why Eli placed himself inside a tree, with the words, "Don't follow," carved beside his head. Or why the trail cameras installed after the incident have recorded no wildlife movement in that region for 5 consecutive winters. Not a single deer, no rabbits, not even birds. Like the forest itself went still. The stranger theory. A few online communities have speculated about an unknown third party. A stranger. Searchers did find a fire pit 2 miles south of where June was found. It wasn't built like theirs. No stones, no windbreak, just a ring of charred sticks and what appeared to be burned clothing. No human remains. No footprints leading in or out. And then there were the voice reports. June's sister, speaking off the record to a small podcast 3 years later, said June had told her this.
Sometimes we heard footsteps that didn't match ours. And once, we heard someone say Calvin's name, like it was right behind us. But when we turned, there was no one.
Still, no official agency has acknowledged this theory. There's no evidence of stalking, no prints, no outside DNA. The search teams never found another camp person or trace of outside activity. One of the park rangers, speaking anonymously years later, gave an interview for a documentary that was never finished. He worked search and rescue for nearly 15 years and had led part of the recovery. He said something that never made the final cut.
That mountain plays tricks on people. There's this ridge, no name on a map, that everyone calls the Fold. GPS acts up. You walk for an hour and end up back where you started. We've pulled 3 hikers out of there since. None of them lasted more than a night. One guy said he felt like he was being watched the whole time. Said he kept seeing shadows moving uphill.
When asked if he believed the official explanation in the case of the 5 friends, he paused, then said,
They weren't running from the cold. They were running from something.
June lives in a small town in Idaho now. She changed her name, moved away from Oregon, deleted all social media. No interviews, no press. Occasionally, on the anniversary of the incident, people post theories on forums, hoping she'll reply. She never does. But 5 years ago, a Reddit user posted under a throwaway account in a hiking safety thread. The post was quickly deleted, but not before it was screenshotted.
It doesn't echo in the snow. You think it should, but it doesn't. And sometimes you hear things, and they don't sound far away. They sound close. You just can't tell the direction. If you're in the back of the group, don't let yourself fall behind. That's when you start to hear footsteps that aren't yours. And if you see a light in the trees, don't follow it. It's not a ranger station. There's nothing out there but cold.
No one could prove the post came from June, but the wording matched her notebook. There were no official charges, no arrests, no foul play determined. But even now, hikers report feeling uneasy near the same ridge the group passed. Some say their compasses spin. Others say GPS maps reroute on their own. There are rumours of distant whistling, 3 short tones, always at night. There's never been another case like it. Not in Oregon. Not anywhere. The mountain doesn't give back answers, only silence.